We're now steaming back to our own time and to Main Street Station, gateway to Disneyland.
This podcast episode is an idiot's guide to legally entering the US for the Disney Cultural Exchange Program. We're giving you a yassified document and fee glossary. You're listening to the Mates on Main Street podcast, where we chat about our journey as cast members from the Moors Balls of Adelaide to the Magic Kingdom Castle. Join us every week after we clock off to take a peek behind the magic curtain.
Cool. Hello, guys. Welcome to episode two of the Mates on Main Street podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about our whole visa experience, basically. I'm your host, Lorenzo, and I will be hosting this episode. Of course, again with me, we've got Maybelline, Rochelle, and Michigan.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
First things first is probably to go over the many different names that come with a visa application process. This was by far the most confusing and anxiety-driven thing ever in our lives. I think like the Disney process, that was relatively okay. Like we were stressed about them getting back to us, but this was something else. It's the document that they give us, right? Like the Disney document.
DS 2019 or?
No, the handbook.
I would call it a handbook. So a few days before you receive your official paperwork, again, we'll go through the names of this, you receive like a PDF. And it's just like a handbook of all the instructions of what to do, information about your stay, kind of brief information, just overall an info guide, I would say.
Yeah. And there's in that handbook, there's a whole bunch of different things that they can help you with, and they give the names for the different certificates. One of them is the most important, like, holy grail item, which is the DS 2019 document. It's the certificate of eligibility for exchange visitor that comes from America, signed by your workplace, which for us and for you, if you're trying to join into the program, will be Disney. Someone from Disney will be signing that. Our nickname for it, because all of these names are so code related and it's really hard to distinguish between them.
Just letters and numbers.
It's just
and
letters and
you're
numbers.
like, do you have this form? I have no idea, because when we talk to each other,
they all sound the same as well. They all start with like D. Or like have
I
S.
or S. They all have an S in it.
16.
All of them have an S in it.
So what we wish we had was like a glossary, and so we're making one
Correct.
for you guys.
The DS 2019 is your holy grail. Literally think of it as the holy grail. That's what we've called it. It's like I said, it's the form delivered by Walt Disney himself from the grave. If you lose it, if your personal info is wrong on that form, you're basically screwed, right?
Yeah.
Like, is there?
I have
there a way
no
to
idea
get
what
it?
happens if it is, because it didn't happen to any of us.
Okay.
Well, if you make any changes, because I originally asked if I could change my start date, which would therefore change the form, because on the form, it's got things like your start date, your end date, which they set as a year, even though if you're only trying to do 6 months. So if you want to change any sort of detail like that, they're like, oh, it'll take us a few more weeks to process. And because it gets mailed, you know, what
don't
turns
have
into
that
a
sort of time.
one-week process turns into a couple weeks.
And then it'll be months.
Correct. And for us, this was during the end of year, and in America, they were celebrating Thanksgiving. So if I had requested for that change and they approved it, I would be getting my form maybe now, because it's Christmas.
Yeah, and you're going tomorrow.
Yeah, so probably not the best that I requested that. So just check your details and make sure everything's correct, and action it ASAP if there is any.
Basically has
Wrong info.
all the information to get all the other forms done.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so important. You need the DS 2019 to...
The Holy Grail.
It's literally the holy grail. You need to take it for the program number. You need it for the actual document number of it when you're applying for the visa
What's
process.
that CC number?
There's 3 numbers on there.
There's lots of numbers that are
That are
important.
related to yourself, yeah.
Which ones? It's very
So
broad.
so I would say that's the first kind of document, and then the second one is
The second one is the I-901. We like to refer to it as the not a document, because it's not a document. It's a receipt of the SEVIS fee, which we'll explain later.
So
You need to
it's
bring...
a receipt. It's so silly.
Yeah, you have to bring the receipt.
So I didn't
It's
even
like-
realise that.
It's a receipt, but so it's not a document.
It's
but
not
they
a
have
document.
an official title for it. So just call it the receipt.
They want money.
Yeah. I don't know why they call it the I-901. They're trying to make it sound more fancy.
And complex.
And complex. And it was very complex. After that, we've got the DS160, which was once you've already gone online and applied, you have to print out that page, right? That's what it was?
Which one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the confirmation of the visa.
confirmation.
Yeah, so that was the confirmation of the visa application. We called it the Pass, Go, and Collect 200.
Because
Can you explain that?
Yeah, because you're almost there. Like, you've applied for the visa. So you think, oh, sweet, I'm done. But there's more to come. So you pass go, but the game's still going. Like, collect your 200 and keep rolling, keep playing.
I mean, you don't even collect 200. They
Yeah,
give 200.
you give 200.
Yeah, and then the appointment confirmation page.
Yeah, so once you actually book your appointment at your US consulate, then you have to print that out as well. So that's pretty straightforward. We won't nickname that one.
Yeah, cool. I guess we'll just go through a list.
But also the
of everything.
booklet they give.
Yeah, because this is the fees.
Easy.
Well, the PDF they give you is like a lifesaver.
The handbook,
just
yeah.
follow
So
it.
always refer to the handbook. It does give you kind of step-by-step instructions on how to approach this whole process. But obviously they're using the official term, so you're like, sorry, what's a DS 2019? What's a 160? What's a 2019 and a 2016? So just highlight it different colors, figure it. Use this glossary. We might post an actual graphic, and that might help a little bit as
Yeah,
well.
because I know for a fact when she asked me for the DS160, I stood there and I was like,
Which one?
I just
What?
gave them all of them.
I had the DS 2019, and like she was happy when I said hi to her, and then as soon as I made a mistake and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, she was like, so
Reject it.
Yeah,
label all your documents.
Yeah, my tip would be in your folder, because everyone brings folders. We all did. But we had those little tabs, sticky tabs. So Michigan
See,
and I
that's smart.
had sticky tabs and labelled it the official document name. So if they ask for it, we could just easily flip it. So that's
Yeah.
probably my first top
I
tip.
mean,
Yeah.
even then, when the lady was asking me for like a certain document, I was just like rifling through it.
But it made it
panic
slightly
mode.
easier, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Rosie-
it's just nerve wracking, you know. You don't want to like piss them off.
Correct.
I mean, I think that's a little bit better than what I was doing because you're nervously trying to find it because you know which one it is. I'm sitting there like,
You tell me.
you tell me which one of these do you need. So yeah, the next thing we're going to be looking at is the fees associated with the entire thing. Again, keeping in mind that we're coming from Adelaide, there's a couple more additional fees that we have to pay. Starting off with the visa application fee. This is the fee you pay online to get an appointment at the consulate in the first place. They charged $160 which for us at the time was 272 Australian dollars. Are we going to have graphics going up and like sound effects for this or?
What's
Yeah.
Wait, alarm bells.
And it's like adding on and then we're going to have a lot. Yeah, let's do
It's
that.
like that clicking sound that they did at a cash register, the one on TikTok.
Yeah.
And
We
then
can
it
do
ends
that.
with like kids crying.
The next fee.
While they're being disintegrated.
The next fee we had to pay was the visa reciprocity fee, which was
The hell?
otherwise
Wait,
known as an issuance fee. So that's when we actually see. At least I know this part. That's when we actually got there, and they
Oh, the
they
issuance.
give us
That's the fee I had to go transfer money
correct,
for.
which we'll get to. The visa reciprocity fee, otherwise known as the issue fee, otherwise what we like to call the "I wish I was a Kiwi" fee, because, and this is flagged in the big Disney handbook if you're coming from Australia, New Zealand. They call it something different at the appointment, but it's basically a fee that they charge at the consulate just because we're Australian.
Yeah, New Zealanders
wonder
don't have to pay
why.
that. by
New
the way.
Zealanders,
Why
you
don't
don't
they
have to pay
like
the
us?
fee. Yeah, I don't know.
Miss Jacinta, we wish we were
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
It's cool. It's cool.
I mean, it's
We
good
didn't
for
do that.
them.
Yeah.
Go Kiwis.
We couldn't figure out why though, right? Like we tried to look into
No.
it and we were like, why are we
Oh
paying?
no, we did. That one's the. Yeah. So the reason behind that fee is because it's just isn't that to keep their computer systems up?
That's
and
the
running, or is
Sevis
it another-
fee.
Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
never
jumping
mind.
ahead.
I literally do not know why we have to pay it.
Yeah, maybe
Did you
they
go
just
through
don't
the
like
cost?
Australia. Not yet.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, so the
That would
cost
be
of the
funny. It's a pretty funny joke.
for them it was a good bit. They charged us $105 USD, which for us at the time was $156.76 Australian. Once you actually get into the consulate and you're lining up for your visa appointment, and they say, "Yep, we'll go through the process." That's when they charge you for it. And then the next fee is the Sevis I-901 fee. which, if you remember that last document that we were talking about, the not a document, the I-901, that is your receipt. That's the thing you pay for to get that receipt. SEVIS stands for Student and Exchange Visitor and Information System.
It actually means
Well, there
something?
you go.
It's not just an acronym. It actually means something.
Which is nice.
Well, now
so
we know
yeah.
where our money is going.
Correct.
To the student exchange.
The
visitor.
Student and Exchange Visitor and Information System. Otherwise known as the We Can't Afford to Run Our 1960s Computer Systems Without You. If you've seen the SEVIS page and you've seen the page to the visa to apply for a visa,
Web
We're gonna get
pages
into
that
that.
we
it
have to
literally
use.
looks like it's from the 1960s, and
It's so old.
it's so old you could probably hack it with a potato.
It's powered by like a lemon.
It's powered by
2
our
lemons and our money. We have a note here saying it's mandated all non-immigrant students and exchange visitors must pay the I-901 SEVIS fee. The I-901 SEVIS fee is mandated by Congress to support the program office and the automated system that keeps track of students and exchange visitors and ensures that they maintain their status while in the United States. This is the fee you pay before applying for your visa and the I-901. Now, after you pay those 3 fees, the application fee, the issuance fee, and the SEVIS fee, if you live in Adelaide, like we do, or you don't live in any of the 3 countries, 3 cities, 3 countries, 3 cities that they visit to for Australia, which was Perth, Sydney, Melbourne,
Yeah,
right?
they're the only ones with the US consulate.
Because they're the only ones with the US consulate. If you do not live in any of those cities, you also need to pay a visa delivery fee, which is $37.30 Australian. That's just the delivery fee for DHL to move your passport with the visa in it
As quickly as possible.
to your house.
Did you guys get yours?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Literally,
Wait, did you get yours?
what's today?
Oh my god, I
Day?
just realized.
I
mean,
yeah,
it's
I just
not
got
that
my
urgent, but-
visa. Yeah, we
It should be coming, hopefully.
yeah, us 3 just got it yesterday, right?
Yeah, so this is we're going to walk through the exact timeline of the whole visa process, which begins with
Yikes.
the waiting game with FedEx. So yeah, like once you accept your job offer for Disney and you're like, yeah, I'm happy to do the whole program, that's when they're like, oh, great. So we'll start giving you proof that you're going to work here. So that's why they're drafting up that form, which took at least like 2 weeks or so, would you say?
Not even like I'd say like a month.
Oh, okay. No, I wrote it down here. So on October 20th, that's when we received the job offer. And then you had 7 days, so like a week to accept it. And then after you accept it, that's when they begin drafting this paperwork. And then they have to mail it to you because, you know, let's not get with the modern times. Let's just FedEx it to you. So then you wait. And so from October 20th of accepting, it was the 15th of November. So essentially a month before we got a notification from FedEx to say that the paperwork is being shipped. So we hadn't even received it yet. It was just a notification via email being like, yeah, you should expect it soon. And so,
when, but-
I don't know, like, you should expect it maybe 21st November. So, like, that's like another week, essentially, I would say. But then it actually arrived, at least for us, on the 22nd of
Same as
November.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is quite a long process to actually get this piece of paper. And without this, as we explained before, you cannot do anything else. So you can't apply for your visa without proof that you're working somewhere. So
Plus, it has all the information you need anyway. So
Yeah.
you literally can do nothing.
correct. It's so silly because you get this whole like big FedEx envelope. It looks super official, and then you tear it open.
It's just one piece of paper.
It's just one piece of paper. Not just that. It's not even like printing paper. It's like a thin
Like
ass.
parchment paper.
It's like parchment paper. So
But
it's,
I was like treating that like it was my life. Like I would not put it near any liquids.
When you get
Like
the
any
Holy Grail,
food.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Just frame it.
I had one finger at a time, like slowly worming it out of.
oh yeah, we did
The
not want
bag.
to damage it because you only get that copy.
You
And
get one.
That's it.
Another thing, I'd also just say get a physical copy and a digital copy of like anything.
Yeah. So just scan it in. Would be the next tip as well.
Yeah, so the next step was the online application process for the visa. And like we'd already explained, the SEVIS page is not from the 1960s. And it explicitly warns you that you have 90 minutes to fill out this entire survey, this entire
It will take you
questionnaire.
90
It will take you
minutes,
90
yeah.
minutes. Set aside 90 minutes to do this, please. It's an hour and a half. Boil a kettle. Do something. Cook. Get some food on the stove.
It's
Because
gonna
it's going to
be a
take you a
long
long
one.
time. But also, the page will time out every 20 minutes. So
Which they don't tell you about.
Was it 20 minutes exactly?
it
Did you
was
guys
20
time
minutes
it?
exactly.
Oh, yes, fun.
20 minutes exactly.
But they don't tell you it times out. So you're like in the middle of like hustling
So it
through
just
this
crashes.
thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, why the heck
So
did
you
it
need to
disappear?
keep saving
Yes.
the document as you're going through.
The way to save your document is once you first go through the application process, you receive in the top right, it should say like your visa application number or something along those lines. It'll be, for me, it was like AO, blah, 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 blah. Copy and paste that and put that into a separate notes or something like that, because that's the only way you can re-access your application once that 20
Number,
minutes is
yeah.
up and you have to redo it again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to be really good at speed running, telling them that you're not a terrorist.
The security page.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you don't have that AA number or your application number, you need it to log back in once it times out.
Correct.
So how the hell are you going to find this AA
Correct.
number if you didn't copy it
The first time I did it and it timed out in the 20 minutes, I didn't save the application number. And so even though I logged back in, I couldn't get back to that document. So I had to start again from the beginning. Which
I
is
don't
really
know
fun.
why, but my laptop saved mine. Like
That's good,
in
though.
that. So every time it logged out, I just go enter. It was
like
all there.
autofill?
Autofilled.
So good.
Ah.
It was the best.
Turn your
So if you
autofill
can,
on.
yeah. Apparently mine was
Get
on.
Shelly's laptop, I guess.
Yeah.
Shelly's. We're back. Magically, we have this in our hands. So, hot tip. Log in multiple times. Don't forget your password. The other hot tip is screenshot the first page with your application number, or like we said, put that copy and paste it and put it into a notes somewhere. Download everything during this online application process and label it accordingly. Your headshots, the
form,
appointment confirmation,
yeah.
everything, literally everything that you do at this stage, download it, save it, print it off, because you're going to need it. Even if you don't think you'll need it, just bring it anyways. That's what we did.
Hot tip for the security page. Hopefully you're not a terrorist.
Otherwise, you
It's-
might not be let into the country.
It's a 90-minute questionnaire of like, do you affiliate with a terrorist group? Yes or no?
Oh my
It
god,
was
some
like
of those
three-
questions were actually like concerning.
It's
I
hilarious.
was like,
It was
who
3
is
pages.
ticking yes to these?
And then, Shelly, did you want to talk a little bit about your mugshot
Oh my gosh.
on the topic of US size
Yeah, so
passport
part of
photos?
this we had to give a photo.
Yes, we had to provide a photo as part of filling this document out. And we actually got some like photos taken when we had our little shoot. And like, so I tried uploading that, and then it was not the right size, not the right pixels or something. What is it,
Yeah,
pixels?
I think it was pixels.
Yeah. So everything was just not working. So then I just asked my dad to take some photos of me. Just on the
that's-
trusty old iPhone.
Yeah, it gets a plain background. It doesn't have to be too strict, like.
I mean, it said white background, so I just went against a white wall in the house, and like it looked
This is what it
fine. I was like, this will be good. I didn't like measure the head placement or anything like that. I just was like, this looks fine, and I can edit this one. And tried uploading that. This was, bear in mind, this was taking like 3 hours altogether just to upload
To do
this
this
photo.
one as well.
Yeah. And then that photo didn't work either. And then no, it did work. What am I talking about? It did work. It finally uploaded after like lots and lots of editing on like websites online that like changed the pixel size or something like that. And then the day before, am I getting into this now?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
go
okay,
for it.
here we go. So the day before our US Embassy appointment in Sydney, I was reading through just to make sure that my photo fit all the requirements. And I noticed that there's a shadow in the background, and I was like, oh my gosh, because on it says no shadows, like good lighting, white background, and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're not going to accept it. I called the US Embassy, like, customer service people, and she was like, well, my advice to you, would be just make sure you read all the requirements. And if you're confident that it fits it, then you're fine. And I was like, I don't think I'm confident. She was like, then I would recommend going and getting a photo at the, like, post office or something. And I was like, all right, here we go. So I was like melt down, like bawling my eyes out, sobbing, ran to the post office. It was like an hour before it closed, and I was like so stressed that they wouldn't be able to do it, but luckily they pulled through. I got like, they do it according to US visa size, like they already know what size requirements there are, so they did that for me. And then I literally went home, tried the first time, and it uploaded. So my advice to you would be just go get a post office picture, because it's so much simpler than like trying to do it yourself and edit it like 1,000 times. So that was my struggle.
It is a very high stress process. So when things
Go wrong,
you can't help but feel very like overwhelmed and the need to cry. I too cried in this process.
Might as well do it once and do it right. In the meantime,
exactly.
When we went to get our passport photos done, we got it in the Australian size, not thinking that we were applying for a US passport.
Yeah, but they also required, so you needed one to upload to the website, and then you needed to bring an additional photo. But it's not until you kind of dig further that they specify, oh, make sure it's US passport size. So we too, like, on the day of our appointment, when we were about to fly off.
That's even more stressful.
Yeah, we went to Officeworks in the morning and got ours done as well.
Yeah.
But in the end, personally, they didn't even take my photo. Like my physical photo that I brought.
No, they took
Did they
mine.
take yours?
I think they took like scan, like,
Yeah, they scanned it.
I wasn't really watching.
They scanned mine. I know they scanned mine.
Yeah, they took mine.
So that basically concludes the online application for the visa application form. Not confusing, don't worry. Yeah, so that's, once you have that visa application form, now you're ready to book your appointment so that you can, you know, they can check in person to see if you want to be a terrorist or not.
FM.
So now this booking of the appointment is all online, which for us three was pretty stressful. For you, Shelly, it wasn't stressful at all.
No, it was very simple, actually. I don't know what happened. But I was still confused if I was doing the right thing, since this wasn't in that document, the handbook. This wasn't in the handbook, like, because I think they just assume everyone is from Sydney or like Melbourne, so they don't have to get it mailed to them. But I was still like very...
When you get the appointment, when you're booking the appointment, you need to have what you call a UID. That is what is needed to put into the delivery system. So you have two options for when you actually get the passport. Is you pick it up back from the US consulate, or you get it mailed out to you. This is the part that Disney didn't put into the handbook for us because they didn't think there would be many. You need the UID, but the website doesn't let you get the UID until you've booked the appointment. But you can't put in your appointment until you've booked where it's going to be sent to. And you can't book where it's sent to until you get the UID. So if you can see this, we kind of looped around in a circle over. We need the UID to book the appointment. We need the appointment to have the delivery address. The delivery address needs the UID. So you're like doing this like three little circle thing.
Look, I did not do this. So I don't know what.
Yeah,
I don't know how it did.
I don't know how Rochelle did.
I don't know either.
She just managed to book her parcel to be sent.
But look, I don't have mine.
I
don't have it yet. So.
Yeah.
So I hope it's coming.
Yeah. Well, here's the hoping.
Kind of need it.
Okay, and then you can only choose which consulate you want to go to once you've already done the visa application form. So it's pretty silly.
Yeah, again, it's a very like stupid loop of like you need one thing for another
thing to unlock. Yeah.
It's not in a right order, because when you do your online application, which is the part we were talking about before, that's where you choose which consulate you want to have your appointment at. And so you're like, oh yeah, us Adelaideans, let's go to Melbourne. It's near, it's next door. And then when you go to actually book the appointment, that's when they tell you the availability. And so
And they were all booked out.
yeah, and so
Well,
for us who want to get it done
yeah.
as soon as possible, then we're like, oh, but can we do Sydney? And they're like, no, that's not available
You
anymore.
do it once and that's
Because
it.
before,
On the website.
because in part 1 you chose Melbourne, so you're going to Melbourne. So it's not flexible at all, and you can't choose where you want to go based on appointment times. And I'm sure this is not only an issue for us, that's for just people who want to get it done. Like, they want to see what comes first and are willing to fly. But that's just not possible.
But
with
if
this
we kept
system.
it like that, we would have done our visa appointment yesterday.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah,
Because
so-
the earliest appointment for Melbourne was the 19th.
Yeah. So when the Sun Ones applied, they applied on the 22nd of November, and like Maybelline was saying, because Melbourne was closer, they just assumed, oh yeah, it's really going to be easier, it's going to be quicker to get the passports done. But their earliest appointment was 19th of December. Shelly and I learned from that mistake, and we were like, let's say, screw Melbourne, we'll try Sydney and see what Sydney looks like. And Sydney's earliest appointment was December 9, so we were like, heck yeah.
Let's do that.
Let's both
Like
do
a
December
week
9.
Week and a half earlier.
And do you want to explain the situation of Mother San Juan and how she helped you guys out? And then-
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we said, it the online platform does not let you change it. And so here I am having my breakdown because that was it. I was like, this has been a hard process altogether. And you try calling the customer service, and it's just very clear that they are just reading for a script and they don't have the full understanding
Or
of
they
the
don't
rules.
care. Or
Look,
they-
no one
Or they don't
understands.
Yeah, or they don't
what
care.
the
Like,
process
I've
is.
Get a bit
working
both.
from customer service, I would never treat a customer the way that they treated me. It was very rude. Like, they would hang up on me, and try to end the call really quickly. They just had some
They hung
attitude.
up on you?
Or they're like,
I
is
had,
that
like,
it?
two
Okay, great.
instances.
And before I could even confirm that was all my questions, like, okay, wait. Like that. Like, very, very rude. And so, again, high stress situation.
How many times have we called them?
Oh gosh, between my brother, myself, and my mum, I don't even know. It's a lot. And so thankfully she pulled through. My mum managed to find someone really, really nice and was like, oh, pretty please, like my kids need an earlier appointment. Is it possible to like please move them to Sydney? And she was like, yeah, doll, no worries. And moved us to Sydney. Like, it was, how come it was so easy for her, but everyone acted like it was the hardest thing in the world?
What was, did we get her name?
Oh no, I don't think they give out
Customer
names.
service
Shout out to
lady.
them.
Shout
Shout
out to you.
Shout out to you. You literally saved our
Yeah,
lives
she knows
and
who
our
she
money.
is.
But it's
You know
so.
who you are.
Well, I'm confused how our mom was able to like rebook it for us, because the whole thing when you call them, they have to verify that it's you,
Yeah.
and
So,
like you
again,
give them like your email, your phone number, and like your passport details, and like oh my god, every time I called, they'd be like because our names, I won't like say what our names is, but it's like we have like 4 last names we have, and that's like a typo thing, and we had to spell it out for them
Really?
every time we called.
It's such a long
And it's
surname.
like, oh, B for bear,
No.
C for cat,
And then
E
you're doing
for
it for so
so on.
many names.
But like because there's so many letters in our names, we do not have short names.
Yeah.
and they can't hear you. Then like it was like the most painful verification
That
possible.
was one of like what I would say 3 problems, just to kind of get into it now. In the handbook, once you read it, it says on your J1 visa, you may not enter the United States more than 30 days before your work start date. Because my brother and I had booked a holiday to go to and celebrate the 50th anniversary of the park, we had booked it ages ago in like April before we even knew this program would open again. So here we are thinking we're chilling like, oh my God, we saved so much money on flights because we booked in April not knowing we were going to stay and work there. And then we actually counted the days back and we would be entering the US 33 days before our work start date, which is illegal.
Not allowed.
We would not be let in the country, and I'm stressing. I was emailing people. I was emailing not only the Disney contacts who were like, as I kind of mentioned at the top of the episode, they're like, well, if you change your start date, it'll take longer to get your form, so maybe don't do that. Maybe change your flights. But then it's this whole problem of changing our flights would cost more than booking our flights. It would
losing
cost
a lot of money.
an additional $2,500 per person, which is not the best way to do it. And again, calling customer service and asking what the, not loopholes, but how we could do it legally. And so one person would say one thing, another person would say another. So one person was like, no, you can't hold more than one visa at a time, because we were going to try to go enter on a tourist visa and then have it just like kind of switch over to the work visa. And they're like, no, you can't hold two at the same time. I'm like, okay, sure. Great. End of story. Then one of us asked another person, and they said, oh, you can do that. Like, you can swap. You just have to like exit the country and come back in. And we're like, oh, okay. So we'll like buy a flight to Canada or buy a flight to Mexico. And they're like, yeah, that should be fine. And then when another one of us verified that information and was like, so if we just go to Canada, that'll be fine, right? And they're like, no, Canada doesn't count. And I'm like, but why does Canada not count? It's not even related to you guys. It's a different country. And then we're like, okay, how about Mexico? No, Mexico doesn't count either. And we're like, why? You guys are just making stuff up now. You guys are playing games.
Do you guys know what you're talking about?
I literally do not. And then another call where we're like, oh, actually, we're going on a cruise. Like, we're going to depart in the Bahamas, like go off and then come back. So can we just like use our work visa when we come back from the island? And they're like, I mean, yeah, but did you say you're doing a cruise? And we're like, yeah. They said, okay, cruises don't count. I was just like...
It's like international waters.
It's like, what do you mean it doesn't count? Oh, because it's a cruise. I'm like,
that doesn't say
matter
anything.
the mode of transport that I exit your country with? Like, so it was very confusing. And we just had a breaking point of like, are we going to spend $2,500
on a change flight?
To change our flights so that we...
And you were considering it.
Well, we had to, like, otherwise we're not legally allowed in their country. So we definitely waited for the in-person interview, which brings us to our next segment.
Yeah. One last tip before we go on to the actual in-person visa interview that I would suggest is if you are coming from out of those major cities of Brisbane... Wait, it was Brisbane? Yeah.
No, Melbourne, Sydney, and
Melbourne,
Perth.
Sydney, Perth, pardon me. Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, if you're coming out of, not coming into, from any of those three major cities, book Sydney because there's way more appointments and there's way more time and way more flexibility. So go to Sydney, don't
If you can afford it.
If you can afford it.
And you're crunching for time, just do it. Just bite the bullet, go to Sydney.
Yeah. So yeah, on to the in-person visa interview stage. Now, this was... I described it. What did I describe it as? I said it was like
the
propaganda.
It was like propaganda. It was the most American thing. It was so
scary.
It was terrifying. It was like trying to get into Fort Knox, but
it felt
not.
Like, it felt like something from the future. Like I felt like I don't know. It was weird.
It felt sterile yet dirty.
Yeah, it was a dirty,
a whole
sterile
different world. Like you're in the streets of Sydney, mate, and then you go and it's just like
you're in America.
Oh, it's kind of
and
like,
everything is shiny.
It's kind of like the Matrix, right?
The Matrix. That's what it feels like.
Because you're out on the street. You're on this lovely Australian street.
North Sydney.
In North Sydney. Everyone's driving by. Everyone's walking by, going about their day. The U.S. consulate is this grey little in-the-wall kind of thing. Like, we didn't even know that was the U.S. consulate because
we just walked past
like, this could be, like, the side
it's a
window
very
of a
secret
shop.
door.
Yeah, it looked like the side of the, like, wall of a shop. It didn't look like the entrance to a really important...
building.
You know.
Until you see the line.
Yeah, and then you see this line that's, like, what?
Going down the
50 to 100 meters. Like, it's a long line for Australian standards.
And for someone who has an appointment too, which was very confusing.
Correct, yeah. So what was your appointment time? 9:15, Shelly?
Mine was 9:15. And yours was
9:30.
Yeah.
So they bring you, they kind of, even if you line up, it doesn't matter where you are, they'll call out and be like, 9:15.
And then you go in.
And all the 9:15s go in. So it doesn't really matter where your place is in the line. It just matters
just
where
as long
your
as
appointment time is. Yeah. So, yeah. Once we were actually in, they would only take in about 5 to 6 people at a time every single time they opened the door, irregardless of how many people needed to be into their appointment time. So they would call in the 9:15s into batches, call in the 9:30s into batches, so on and so forth. Once you're actually into the first stage, you've got 2 security guards who are asking you, shut down all your phones, shut down all your smartwatches.
Do not bring your iPads or
Do not bring iPads, do not bring laptops in. That stays in the next room.
Any devices is a no-no.
Any devices is an absolute no-no.
Well, iPads and laptops don't even go in the building. Like, you can have your phone with you and your smartwatches, but they have to shut down.
Yeah.
There's explicit guidelines on what's allowed and what's not allowed on, like, when you get the confirmation. So read that.
Yeah, which we didn't know until we actually walked in. So Yeah.
Why? Did you bring a laptop?
No.
Oh.
But I can
Like-
imagine that some people would, you know, like keep an online version of everything or like
Yeah.
save it to a document.
Yeah, right.
So I wonder
Do
what
not
happened
bring
to
a
them.
laptop. Do not bring a
And
laptop.
you won't have access to your phone.
Correct. You won't have access to your phone. Tell people that you're going to be going in for a visa application because it's going to take you a
like a
while.
Tell
Tell
the
your
boy
parents
that's
you
waiting
love them.
outside for you.
Tell your parents you love them.
It's
Tell your
gonna be long.
family you love them because it's gonna
You're going to America.
you're gonna be you're in America for a
But
while.
it felt like time stood still at the same
No,
time.
I swear they did not have a clock.
No,
in
they
that.
didn't.
They
It's like in
didn't.
jails. In that
It feels like
sense,
they intended it that way.
it's very much like mental games because you go through. What did I say? It was the official terminology. Performance security.
Performative security.
No, security theater.
Security
is the
theater.
official term. Yeah.
What?
They're like after. I think there's like research on this, but after like 9/11 happened, they increased security at the airport, but
Well,
the
for
results say
intimidation,
that
or-
it doesn't actually do much more. It's just so that the people walking through these security systems feel safer. And so that's very much what this process is because, you know, Australians are very happy-go-lucky. And then walking into this, they're like, strip off this, strip off that, put it through the X-ray.
Wait at the stop sign.
Don't
Don't
dance.
come forward
Yeah,
until the
so-
stop.
Yeah, so
Bessie.
in our timeline, we're still in that first room, literally walking in off the street into this small little gray room. They turn off all of your electronics. They demand to see your documentation and your reason
And your ID.
and your ID. So we had to pull out our passports. We had to show them all of our paperwork. Well, they didn't really flick through it, but they just need to see that we had a
have
purpose for
paperwork.
being there. Yeah, and then you're on into the next room, and you're only into the next room once they've individually went to every single person, checked that all of their smartwatches and phones were off, and then they would open the door and let people in. Once you're into the next room, this is where they're scanning all of your devices, putting it
The real
away into
security.
storage, like the
Like
real
airport.
security.
Yeah, like
airport
airport.
security vibes, except
One machine.
one machine, and it's like you're going up to be executed on a guillotine, like or
Except-
guillotine.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. And you forgot the stop sign. You have
Correct.
to wait at the stop sign.
There are multiple stop
Did forget
signs.
the stop sign.
That's the joke. Like, yeah, we'll get to that.
No pun intended.
There's multiple.
You really
stop
were
signs.
wanting to get executed.
Yeah. There's multiple stop signs that you cannot walk past. So like, because you're in a room with like what? There was like 6 security guards
Yeah.
to the 6
Too
of us.
many for
right?
the amount of
There was
people.
one security guard per person, right?
Security
it felt
theater,
like,
man.
and you literally go single file, one by one, boop 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 boop, boop like that, one by one.
Wait for the instructions.
Yeah.
There's a specific bin for your metal
Electronic,
objects,
yeah.
electronics, and then there's a specific bin for your other
Documents.
items, documents,
Water bottle.
water
if you have one.
bottles. Yeah,
Jackets,
what's
belts.
bin is a very Aussie word, like tray. Yeah, tray. Tray. You get a tray for metal objects and tray for non-metal objects. You can only go one at a time scanning the item, and then that same person will then wait before they can go through the metal detector. You can't just like
Go
go
through.
in one,
Yeah,
like
in
do 2
airport,
things at
you're
once. No,
tailing each
you
other.
can't do 2 things at once here. Like it's one by one, and they iterate it to you.
You get no
Me-
choice. They will tell you
Legit.
what you do.
Me trying to be the nice person I am, I must have missed the stop sign out of the corner of my eye, because as the person in front of me was putting in their items and the first lot was going through, I was like, yeah, this is taking a while. I'm going to try and help the security guard. I'm going to go start putting my stuff. I can tell the pattern. I'm going to put my metal stuff into the blue tray because that's the one that's next. And as I'm about to step,
said,
literally,
"No."
my foot hadn't left.
I like
There's
yanked
a line.
him.
This is my feet on the ground, and I just went like that with
I was
my
like,
one foot.
I
And
was
all
like,
of a sudden,
ain't no way.
boom.
I like yank him back. I was like, stay here. Do the move.
Do you know what that sign says?
Yeah.
Do you see that guy looking at us? Did he say that you can move forward?
Nah.
We've been
Yeah.
through the TSA. We
Yeah.
know what they like,
Yeah, like
and what they don't like.
He jokingly it seems like he had like a playful nature to it. He
The
was
one
like,
personable security guard.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, your girlfriend."
Yeah, but I
just
didn't know if
saved
he was
you."
joking.
Yeah, no.
It was really on the line.
He was playing it well on the line, but he was like, "Oh, your girlfriend just saved you there."
Drag
And then
you
you're like, oh. And then you were going to try again. He's like, no, mate. Like, I didn't.
He's like, no.
I didn't say you could move forward or something like that. He made a
yeah.
comment like that. He's like, no, you have to wait.
And then once the person in front of me had put his items through, scanned everything, walked through, I was like, gonna step again. And then he was like, nah, you have
I
to
did
wait.
not ask-
I
I
didn't
did
call
not
for you to
say
come
go.
forward. I didn't call for you to come forward. And I'm like, bro, come on, man.
It was painful to watch. I'll tell you that much.
We just wanted to
what's
get this
the
thing
point?
over and done with.
Legit, like, it makes, it's so silly.
Anyways.
It's dehumanizing, and obviously that's the point
That's
of it.
step one.
It's an intimidation. It's an intimidation tactic. That's what
And it
security is
works.
mainly supposed to be, right? It's an intimidation. It's not supposed to be like defense. Like I'm gonna fight you kind of. Security
It's a mental
is a mental game. So
just imagine you just like put 1 inch over that line. The guy just
Yeah.
dive tackles you.
yeah, you just dive tackles, pepper sprays me.
So once
Yeah.
we move through there, you get to go to the elevator. You wait for the elevator to go
You get a
up.
token for your stuff.
Yes,
yes,
you
good
get a
point.
token for your stuff, and
Don't lose it.
you cannot
lose
bring,
it.
like we said, your electronics upstairs.
That girl's still there.
So
Legend has it, the girl who lost her token is still does not have her things back.
yeah,
So don't lose your token because there was a
Yeah.
girl upstairs, and the security guards were helping her, and so we're like, does anyone see a token? And everyone's like, nah.
So they would.
Girl, where did you put your token?
yeah, and so she spent like 30 minutes just
They
trying
would
to.
not let her get her stuff.
They would not let her get her
They would not let her
stuff,
leave.
even though she could probably identify everything that was in the bag. They would
Uh-uh.
not let her get her stuff until she had that token. So yeah, hold on to that like it's your life because it is. Once you get into the elevator, it's not like a regular elevator. It's like an extra small one. Like you can fit 4 people in there plus the security guard that's in the elevator with you because of course there's got to be one. You go upstairs, you walk down this hallway, and to the left you've got American citizens, and then to the right you got visa applicants. On the left, the far left wall, you have this absolutely massive portrait of Joe Biden. God bless his soul. Kamala Harris.
How did I miss this?
So it
No.
was
It was right
massive.
there.
It's all I could look at.
I said no.
A massive,
I have the prize. I have the prize.
a massive one of Kamala Harris as well, and another brother on the right. No idea who he is. I'm not
Another brother.
American.
Another brother.
There's another brother on the right. No idea who he was. I'm not American. There's 2 flags, not one, but 2 flags with
Press
the spear
conference.
tip changed out for a giant like golden eagle. And these flags were not just regular flags. They drooped down to the
Premium,
floor.
like they were premium
They had
flags.
golden rope underneath it, like all that sort of stuff. Like
Ooh.
It's like if you took Homelander's costume and threw it at
and
a
threw it
wall.
onto a wall. Like it was so patriotic, and I was like, God damn,
We're going there.
we're going there.
If I had my phone, I would have taken a photo with it.
brave.
Yeah. So there was. Is this a 4-step process technically that we went through?
Oh yeah, technically a 4-step process.
Yeah.
So, step 1.
Step 1 was we had to physically line up at the service desk once we came out of the elevator, walk to the visa application area, line up at the service desk to be given a number, right?
It's like a pre-screening.
Like a pre-screening just to say, do you have
You've
the
got
documents? Yes, you have the documents. Good. Then you can be here.
Speaking of the documents, so like how we were so fragile with these like the DS 2019, so the Holy Grail, we're like, oh, take it out of the FedEx envelope. So you give them the DS 2019, and they're like, great.
And they just fold it.
And they fold up your Holy Grail. Like when that happened to us, we
They
were like,
spin
I
at it.
gasped.
I was like, how dare you?
I'm sure she saw the light like leave my eyes a little bit because I was like, oh
I was
my
like-
god.
And they just rubber band it with your passport and something else.
photo.
Your number.
Your photo. And your number.
So the next after we got our our documents looked at and then given a number, we go sit down to be called up back to the official like podium, waiting for our number to come up on a TV screen, and then we can go chat with a person who will say, why are you here, blah 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 blah.
Pretty standard.
Pretty standard questions, right?
And that took forever.
That took literally
Waiting
forever.
for the second desk took forever.
yes.
And the reason being is the
They
first
had-
desk you line up for, there was 3 workers and 3 desks open. And for step 2, there was 1 worker.
Someone
Or
took their
two.
lunch break. 2
Or
people
correct.
took
There was 2, and then the
Step
light
2
got
is
But it
like
doesn't
2
make sense
people.
that they went on their lunch break because we came. They opened at 9. This was the opening, guys.
It was their
They're
morning
going-
tea break.
Right? Yeah.
They're going by American time.
Yeah.
And so, but even then, you have 3 for part 1, which is not a lot because you also get 10 printed there. So
Correct.
you scan your 10 fingers. And anyway, you get that scanned. But then why is there 3 people dedicated to that and 2? Shouldn't it just be 3 and 3 if you want to make it even? But it should
Correct.
actually
Or even
be
just 2
Or
for
2
the
and
first.
2.
correct.
And
Do not
3
question.
for
Why would you have 3 people checking in all these people? And it was piling up because all of the 915s were still there. Shelly was still there.
And
Oh
we
my
caught
gosh,
up to her.
I
We
thought all
caught up
these
to
people
her.
sitting down were for something else. And then I realized I am one of these people, and all these people before me have to go do their
Have
thing.
to do their like
the
Correct.
second step.
part 2.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I started stressing a little bit,
And
because then
all
I
the
realized.
10 o'clocks were
Yeah,
coming
we
in
were
behind us.
171, and when we sat down, I think it was like 140.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
140. So
Yeah.
when we
Still
sat
had
down
30
waiting,
people to go
so
through.
there was a lot of people.
But also, it didn't go completely in order. It just got kind of random at times. Where they call someone from 158, then
Yeah.
they call somebody from like 149.
The next part was, once you got up and did the step 2, which was interviewing with the person, then they will send you away to pay the issuance fee. So after that
that's step
second
3.
screening step, they will send you to go pay the fee for the visa to actually be approved. For the
which is the issuance fee we
the
spoke
fees,
about
the
earlier
issuance fees.
in the episode.
Then you have to wait to pay as well. Like there's a cashier.
You have your
So,
ticket, just
one
know your
cashier.
number
One cashier, just the one
to pay all
One
these
guy.
fees.
for the Americans
He was
and
lovely.
for the visa applicants. Yeah, he was the only
actually.
lovely one there.
Correct.
The one cool guy.
Oh, and there was one security guard.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy I talked to who was doing my visa, he was pretty cool.
Yeah, he seems chill.
Yeah.
But like when you get there, because it's that $100-something, if you do not have that if you don't have your physical card because you didn't think to bring your physical credit card or debit card with you have to go down. If you don't have enough money in your physical debit card or credit card, you have to go down. Luckily, we had the card with us, but Rochelle was the other way around.
I was just like, I didn't prepare to pay, like, how much was it? 190 or something? Australian?
178. I think it's also the fees kind of depend on which bank you're with as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just didn't expect to pay something because I thought we'd paid everything for the visa. So then when he said it was going to be like 105, no, I don't know, 105 USD, something like that, I was like, oh, I don't think I have that much in my bank. And he was nice. He let me, with your token, you go back down and you have to go into the room and they kind of watch you while you transfer money to make sure you're not like, I don't know, messaging someone all the secrets
Planning an
from
attack.
US. Planning an attack. Yeah, literally.
Come in, boys.
On home soil, like.
So yeah, then I
cool.
went upstairs and was able to pay for it. But
So the first line, let's count how many lines we're up to right now. So line up to get given a number to wait in line. Then you go to the guy. He tells you, yeah, cool.
Scan
Go
your
pay the
fingerprints.
fee.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Go pay the fee, which you have to wait in line for to pay the fee. After you pay the fee, then again, you wait again in line to go
You
back
go back
and do
this way and you do the final
the
step.
final appointment. So this is step 4 of the process, which is wait again for your ticket to be called to the TV and return for the official visa interview. I had a bit of a funny scenario because I wanted to ask my gentleman a couple of questions, right? And obviously I wanted to come off nice and I didn't want to seem rude or anything like that because we still had no idea how these visas were going to get to us because we weren't
hadn't
able
filled
to
out
fill
that
it out
online
properly
form.
on the online form. So I was like, I'm pretty sure verbatim what I said was, "Hi sir, how are you doing today? I've got a couple of questions if I can ask you. Just let me know when I can ask you those questions." And he was like, "You sir are very polite." And I'm like, "Thank you, I try to be." And then we go through a couple of questions and then he says, "Okay, you can ask me a question now."
oh,
And
that's
I'm like-
smart of you.
Yeah, and I'm like, so how do I know, like, when I was trying to do the online application for this, I couldn't put in a destination for the delivery to go to. And he was like, he just cut me off. He was like, no, just take this. All your questions will be answered through there. So it's like he defaulted back into this robot of all the information is there, figure it out for yourself.
Here's your QR code.
Which is what their
Figure it
customer
out
service
now.
seems to be. The information is there, go
And
figure
then
it
they'll
out.
just repeat
Correct.
the information.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So
If
he
you
gave us this
believe the
QR
shadow
code.
is there.
Correct. He gave us his QR code for us to scan and answer later and figure out later. And one of the questions he asked me during my interview process was, "Are you here alone?" And I'm like, actually, no, I'm here with my partner. You actually missed her before because she was helping her brother pay for the issuance fee. And he like stopped dead in his tracks, got his hands off the keyboard, and we're like, "You have a partner?" And I'm like, "Oh no, like we're not married. Like I'm legally single." And like, and he was like,
This is such an awkward
Yeah.
back and forth.
and he was like, "So you're single?" And I'm like,
Legally.
"Yes, legally." Because I think there's a
They
specific
think partner means married.
So
and
don't
there's
say
a
that if you happen to have
if you have a
or
girlfriend, just say they're your
Don't-
friend and that they said that
don't
you
say
accidentally
anything
skipped
about
them.
it.
Yeah, don't do that. That was dumb of me. Is there anything else that we want to follow on here?
Well, someone's got the answer that we needed, which means we could enter the States 33 days, but we're going to be entering on our tourist visa. And then when we go on the cruise, we're going to re-enter using our working visa. Michigan's guy was really like friendly and straightforward about it.
So like we had a script printed out just to follow it, but like, even then I couldn't really say it because he kind of knew where it was going. So I was just like, oh, we're leaving on this day, but because the rules say you can't enter 30 days earlier than your arrival day and all that. But I told them we're leaving Florida and going to the Bahamas for like a day.
Yeah.
For a
So
day.
he approved it. He was like,
Yeah.
that should be fine, man.
And I just like kept and I like triple checked it just to make sure and verify like this is the correct information he is providing me. And he just gave me the scenario of apparently it's fairly common for people to do this on like our type of visa, where they come in earlier than sets out, but they just enter on a tourist, leave the country, go somewhere for like a day or something, then come back and re-enter on their working visa. They said that is allowed.
I can imagine it would be like common because I feel like people would travel before and they would know about the 30 days thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
they
so,
said
like,
that is allowed. So I got it confirmed 3 times by this guy at the consulate. So it
we should be let into your country.
should be
We'll
allowed.
see.
It was
But if you're in a
so true.
situation like this, confirm it with the guy
At the appointment.
or the person.
Yeah, my guy was the same guy as Lorenzo's, who was like, so you're single? So yeah, he wasn't very helpful. He's like, I was trying to explain. He's like, oh, I don't need to know. I'm like, well, you do need to know my situation because I'm trying to ask you a question. Anyway, he wasn't very helpful. However, we're going by Michigan's guy because this is legal information that they told us at the US consulate, and this is proof. That's the.
I got
I think
receipts.
that was the final thing. You kind of handed in your passport, you go
And just wait.
downstairs, and that was it. You wait for your 7 days. The turnaround. So when was our appointment?
It was on the 9th.
The
Nice.
9th.
Yeah. So then we received our passports yesterday. Which
Yeah,
Oh
was
my
10 days
god, were
later.
you guys
10 days later.
stressing?
Very
Yes,
stressed.
I was
Like, it was a
stressing.
whole process. Because we're leaving, at the time of recording, we're leaving tomorrow on the 21st. So it really was like a quick turnaround time. You'll see it more in the vlog, but we were tracking DHL nonstop, calling DHL nonstop, being like, where is that? No, they were actually really nice. DHL, top tier customer service, 100%. Out of 100%, like they were great. So we did manage to get our passports in time. It was very funny because they scanned it and it said it was like in Melbourne still. And this was yesterday and we're like, we kind of need our passports ASAP. Like, what can we
We
do?
did that the morning.
We did that in the morning at
Early
9 a.m.
morning.
and called them. And they're like, oh, well, Michigan's passport is due to arrive on Wednesday. I'm like, we're leaving Wednesday. That cannot be a thing.
It's so stressful.
Can't do that. And so they're like, okay, what we'll do for you, like, we'll hold it at Adelaide and you can come pick it up so we don't spend a day delivering it. We're like, that's
Yeah.
fine.
That's
We'll go
good.
to the airport. That's no biggie. So this was at 9 a.m. And at 9:40 a.m.,
Like an hour later.
not even, they texted us being like, it's ready for collection. I'm like, how? How is that possible? So they were scanning it wrong or something.
Or
Anyway,
they sent a guy from Melbourne and just like
just
flew him and like
so moral of the story, if you need your passport quick, there can be things to...
Done.
You can do things to make it faster and just call them, be friendly, and they'll be friendly back. They were super helpful. So thanks, DHL.
if it was Ozpost, yeah, we'd
Yeah,
still
maybe
be.
not. We'd be stuck here in Australia. But yeah, that's the hectic visa interview
If
process,
you guys followed on.
application and interview process. That's kind of the things we wish we knew, to be honest, going into it, to be more prepared.
Cool. So we link like the glossary and like
Yeah,
tips
we'll
down below.
post the glossary and then we'll just quickly run through the hot tips now.
Yeah, so hot tip number 1, during the visa application,
The online.
the online part, don't forget your password, save the document number that you have, screenshot it, put it into a note somewhere. Do not lose that because you only have 20 minutes during your 90-minute application process to tell them you're not a terrorist or you're there to touch children. Hot tip number 2, screenshot the first page with your application number, which ties into the hot tip number 1 that I just explained. Hot tip number 3, have a US-sized passport photo that is acceptable.
No shadows.
No shadows, nothing like that.
There's
Don't try
guidelines
to.
on
Yeah,
it.
there's very strict
Right,
guidelines.
plus,
With Office, because we did ours at Office Works, it goes through its own machine
Correct.
and it verifies
scans
it.
and verifies it. Yeah. So
And
try.
there's like a stats, like it is printed out to see, like that shows
It's
you.
correct, yeah.
Yeah,
It's all
so
within guidelines.
do it all, at as official a place as possible for a U.S. passport photo. Don't get an Australian passport photo like we did by accident. Do a US ones right off the bat because they don't tell you that you need a US one, but I mean, I guess
Until you dig.
until you dig
For that information. Yeah.
and you're further into the process, which it's like
Not helpful.
all the other things that they do, which is you can only figure out something if you've done the step before it. You can't look ahead or get any information in the like ahead. It's crazy. Hot tip number 4, download everything and label everything accordingly when you print it out and put it into a folder. It just makes it way easier when you put tabs. I don't know if you can, you can probably see that on the video, but
I will be doing this
there
when I
are
leave.
labels on every single document that we brought. We have proof of student form that we talked about in the previous episode. We've got the
copy of my
SEVIS.
insurance,
We've got our police check.
Oh, police check,
Literally
health insurance, all that.
everything that we printed off, we've got it in there and we've labeled it.
If you don't think you need something, bring it.
Bring
Yeah.
it. And because if you don't need it for the appointment, you'll probably need it when you enter the country.
Correct.
So it's just helpful for when you leave anyway. So
And save you time going through your phone looking for these things. Like if you've got
plus, you're not even allowed to have your phone.
Yeah.
And then the Pass and Collect 200, which we referred to as the DS160, keep a copy of that because once you're done with the entire process, you can actually go back and log into the website and check to see where your visa application is at and if it's been shipped or if they're giving you notifications or anything like that. You'll need the application number from that document to look it up again. Hot tip number 5, when you're actually at the consulate, have money in your bank and have your physical credit or debit card with you or cash on hand. Don't rely on PayWave or anything like that because it obviously will not be available to you.
And expect that it will be a long time.
Yes.
Correct.
Like 2.5
Correct.
hours
We got in there at 9. We left around probably 12. Yeah,
It
so
was half
9:30 we
the day.
left there like 12,
And it
15.
feels longer than that too.
You could see
'Cause there's
years
no
pass by
clocks.
through those big ass windows.
no
I
clocks.
aged. Like I literally aged when I left that building. I was like,
Rochelle
"Whoa."
is now 25.
And
Yeah.
yeah, fun and laughs. If you want to keep up with us, we have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, although that's controversial. So you can keep up with us through @Mates on Main Street. And of course, you're listening to our podcast. We also have a YouTube channel, Mates on Main Street. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
We surely hope you enjoyed your travels with us and that you'll come back and see us again real soon. This is Main Street, USA.
All content expressed in this episode reflects our personal opinions, thoughts, and beliefs and do not reflect those of the Walt Disney Company.